Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Angelica Corral and Chaitanya Bailey here.
Hi.
And we have a wonderful subject that he'll be talking about. He's the expert, the AI expert. So we're going to be asking him some questions about how you could build your brand with AI. So, did you want to talk a little bit about what you do, what the name of your organization is, and what you do, Chaitanya?
Sure. First, Angelica, thank you so much for bringing me on your show.
Yes.
My gratitude to you. I'm a business strategy consultant, and I my primary objective is to make sure that I grow businesses. So when I say I grow businesses, it might be in multiple formats. It could be in bringing a new partnership that will give them a huge leverage, or I use some kind of technology to make sure that their operations and business scale,
Mm-hmm.
or I use branding. So most of the times in India, brand still is in its nascent stages. A lot
Nice.
of SMBs do not understand what a brand means. They have some excellence in one area of their business, but it doesn't scale. So how do you help them scale their businesses? So I bring in brand. Previously, it was very difficult for me to tell them what brand is, but thanks to AI, generative AI,
Mm-hmm.
right in front of them, in their presence, I generate their brand. I show them what a brand means. It may not be etched on stone, but they get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once they get it, then my job becomes easier to get them educated and then to get them started on branding. So
I
this is
think that.
what I do.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody who joined us today or tonight. I see that Musab already said amazing. So thank you for your for your enthusiasm, Musab. And I know Musab is also um, interested. He's an AI expert as well, so I think this is gonna. He might have some questions as well, or even some comments. So this is exciting. So
Awesome.
what? Thank you. So what role does AI play in a personalized brand experience for consumers, or
All right.
even businesses?
Sure. Um, it depends. Now, let me give you an example. Um, just yesterday, one of my clients or one of my friends made her defense in a PhD. So one of the problems that India has right now is that 68% of India is below 35, which means that the younger generation is arriving.
Wow.
Now, all these kids, right from birth till teenage, we do not have a standard size for cloth measurements.
Hmm.
Every brand has their own measurement, every brand has their own standard, and they produce to it. Now, one of the challenges that we have is that we do not have some evolution cycle the Western markets have. So we
Hmm.
have leapfrogging and leaving all this journey above. So when I place an order for a certain item, say a frock for a kid, I would say, probably size number 32, whatever. But
Hmm.
that 32 on the birthday does not fit the baby, or it is too loose. You
Okay.
see the challenge, right? The whole opportunity is ruined. So this lady did a PhD on measuring about 500,000 kids in India, then study the body contours and came up with a standard measurement.
Okay.
Now the next challenge is how do I present it, right? So
Hmm.
this is where generative AI came in. And most of the pictures we have in stock images are still Western, so it doesn't have that native flow of flavor.
Yes.
So using generative AI and using some amount of augmented reality, what we then did was we could put in Indian characters and make sure that the cloths she designed with the measurements fit the character.
Fascinating.
So, so the applications are amazing, but it is about um, it's about how to use it.
Mhm.
How does your imagination work and how do you apply it? So that's where I think branding is going.
Okay, I love the solution that AI did for branding. We have a few questions here in the audience, and
Sure.
we have a comment. Cooper Gates says, "There's a lot of risks. Look at how toy tweets got led on. AI would need to know a lot of things it should not do." So,
Yeah. So we can go into individual case studies, yes, but again, please understand, and I agree with him.
mhm,
Technology is a tool, is an enabler. It makes human life easier.
yes.
But with each advance in technology, the threats also arrive.
Mhm.
And the beauty is, this is only 8 months to 1 year old, and look at the progress it has already made. And it is already challenging a lot of jobs that exist.
Yes.
And everybody is coming up with their own way of using it. The beauty is that we have democratized technology, and everybody has the freedom to use it the way it is. And
Mhm.
this thing is learning. It is not the dumb technology that existed earlier. So it is learning every day. With every
Wow.
progressive cycle, it is learning. So
Yes.
where does it go? We still have to understand, and we still have to know where it is going.
Interesting. So I see that Carol Gotskowski, he's saying hello, and he's
Hello.
here. And Musab said, "So here's my question. What are the threats marketing agencies when using artificial intelligence products?"
Wow. Okay. So the biggest threat is the dumb marketer himself, nobody else.
Mhm,
So what happens sometimes is that AI, or it has its ability to hallucinate.
mhm.
So when you ask a certain question, it can give you answers that are random, hallucinative, and not to the fact.
Yes.
Now, generally, as a marketer, one of the biggest qualities that you have is your strength in research. How does a certain product work? How does it behave? What is the intent of creating a product or a service? And then you will validate the idea by probably sending it to a few people who have common sense or people who have been in the industry. And then you come up with your story. But what is also happening is you're encountering a lot of 20, 22 year olds who have no experience in the industry, but they talk big. Probably somebody who has spent 20 years in McKinsey would still say I'm learning, but you
Mhm,
would have a 21-year-old who would say I will teach you how to crack interviews in McKinsey.
mhm,
Now, what happens when 21-year-olds who do not have the knowledge of the industry in marketing is they build a story around these hallucinations.
okay.
They build a story about a half-baked solution that AI gives. So when you use AI, it's also about using the prompt, using the right technology, using the right words, asking more and more Socratic questions. So you understand what Socratic questions are, right? So ask a question, you get answers, and ask more questions, so you go deep dive, and then come to a stage where you decide, okay, this could be right, or this could be wrong, or this
Mhm,
could be used, this could not be used. And when you do not do this research and start using whatever AI vomits out,
mhm,
then the biggest risk is your reputation loss. You will never be able to recover when you give a fake story. The market is noticing, and they
mhm,
will know that you have used generative AI. Now, let's say so when I go to a client, I charge a premium,
mhm,
and I let one of my say juniors to come up with a story like this, and then the client would easily now recognize that this is a Gen AI work. There's not been any work from my side. Then what would I do? I would lose the client immediately, and probably a good client, a very happy client, may
mhm,
not get me 10 clients, but one bad client or one client who's gone unhappy will make sure 100 will not come to my door.
mhm.
So I think these are some of the risks that we learn we run with marketing using AI.
That's interesting. Yes, thanks for sharing that. Cooper also has another comment. He says, "Low, by what percentage might a size 32 vary in size depending on who made it. And then he's a joker. He said the poor mannequins will be out of work. LMAO.
Yeah. So, see, understood. So, one reason why he's not able to imagine this is because of the variation in that happens in India. Now,
Hmm.
India is called as what do we call it? We call it a subcontinent in itself because every 20 kilometers there's a variation in language, there's a variation in dialect, there's a variation in food, there's a variation in culture, celebrations, and everything. Similarly, the
Wow.
size pattern. Now,
Hmm.
somebody in down south would be seen as puny, but somebody in the north of India, they're giants. So when you go across, the body contours vary a lot, and
Hmm.
you will be surprised when you actually come and see it here.
I'm gonna need to go and visit. It
Yeah,
sounds
you
like it's
should.
a very, yeah, a varied place with a lot of different cultures.
Imagine we have 5,000 plus languages.
Wow.
So, so 1121 or something is what the official records say, but there are so many dialects within Karnataka where I stay, Bangalore. I think we have around 575 dialects recognized.
Mhm.
And
Well, I
yeah,
could see how AI could help when it comes to translating in all the different dialects so that other people can understand the message, right? Because
let's
that's a
hope it
lot of work.
does. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
hope it does, and it does quickly.
So, and I think it's a unifying force because language is always something that reaches the heart. Yes.
True,
So,
true.
can you share examples of successful AI implementations in brand building?
Um, yeah, so I haven't yet completely done a full-scale brand implementation myself. But what I have done is I have built individual brands using generative AI. Now, I do some amount of ghostwriting for some really big guys in the tech industry. So
Hmm.
they tell me that this is what I do, this is what my branding should look like, or this is what I should be known for. So in an IT industry, which in India may not look like as colorful as somewhere in the West, we do a lot of these outsourcing work, or we are a regular developmental kind of work still, the majority.
Yes.
Um, so how do we generally get a brand done? So what I do is say, for instance, now what is the first word that comes to my mind when I speak of, or somebody says Angelica Coral? Podcasting,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes. So that is a brand in itself. So what is that one singular word that defines a person when you speak of his name?
Mhm.
So I help them narrow down to two or three words.
Okay.
And those three words become their hashtags on LinkedIn or whatever.
Mhm.
And then what I then do is I speak about the competencies they have, the skill set they bring to the table, their aspirations, their frustrations. And based on these, I kind of write their stories, write their posts, and then um, get them live on social media. And when I do this, what I've realized is that they get a lot of visibility. Um, their interactions with their target audience increases, and then their reputation is on the rise. So, did you did you drop down for a moment?
I dropped down for a moment because I need to make this show really suspenseful. We
Great.
got a few comments and
Yes.
I wanted to share. Uh-oh. When I dropped down, it looks like their comments dropped down too. Sorry.
No
Uh
problem. Wait, I still have access. I just saw them.
oh,
So
you did.
Musab says, do you see generative AI will replace humans in every sector? Um, if so, what is the data on that percentage? Okay. my opinion, again, it's my personal, is that generative AI will never replace humans,
Mhm.
but it will become a more and more potent tool. Um, we can start using it in many, many formats.
Mhm.
Um, One of the ways that I am using, or not many people have used yet, is Indian scriptures with Sanskrit have been a taboo subject because Sanskrit being a tough subject and the kind of grammar it has takes years to master.
Wow.
So the kind of outputs I want, I've been able to generate. So that way, it's awesome. And like I said, democratization of technology, we really do not know. At least I do not know how far it can go and how much will it do in terms of replacing humans.
Mhm.
So, Musab, I hope I answered the question.
Yes, that's a great answer. Um, Musab says, really? A LinkedIn user
Yeah.
says, how can individuals with limited technical expertise leverage AI tools, authentic and meaningful brand communication?
Um, all right. Fundamentally, you do not need too much of technical expertise if you need to use generative AI tools. All you need to do is a lot of practice. You need to understand your prompting. You need to specialize in prompting, experiment a lot. And most of these experiments will fail, but you will find a way of prompting that works for you. And once it starts working, then build your own way of prompting and to generate your kind of outputs.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so it can be fresh. It every time you create a certain, I use the same prompt for a certain person. Like I said, okay, these are your competencies, these are your skills, these are your problems, these are your mistakes. And based on this, when you narrate the story, I tell them that I generate this kind of a picture for you. But every time I use a similar prompt, the kind of output that comes is different. Fundamentally, because the AI behind is learning.
Hmm.
So it really increases your creativity. And sometimes I kind of trash what I generate and then come up with something completely new. So
Hmm. That's neat. Yeah, I see Carol's comment. Thanks for your comment, Carol. Um, he says studies suggest it could influence many jobs and tasks. And make me think about how when computers started, right? And how now
right,
everybody's using them. Um, and a lot of people were afraid that that was going to take over as well. So
true.
the impact, he says, varies across sectors. While it won't replace humans entirely, it'll reshape. So Musab says our company teaches prompt engineering and engagement access for consumers and corporate companies. And
Brilliant.
the LinkedIn user says thanks for the insights. So thank
Brilliant.
you.
So
Yeah.
yeah, prompt engineering has become something very important here in India as well. Um, 6 months back, I got my first request to go and train somebody on prompt engineering, but
Nice.
now it's becoming more and more frequent.
Mhm.
Um, uh, as a consultant, I quit Deloitte as a full-time consultant in 2016, and it's now 7.5 years, and
Mhm.
I never had, or I could never crack a banking client. Banking is very tough to crack. You should have a banking background. You should have some understanding of anything related in the BFSI sector, which I didn't. I'm a pure engineer and a consultant, a strategy consultant.
Mhm.
But the moment prompt engineering became their offering, I cracked. So
Mm.
I got into banks and I did three full blown workshops on how prompt engineering can help bankers or people who work in the BFSI sector. And then it is becoming one of my first high playing clients very quickly.
Excellent. Excellent. So, how can AI help in analyzing consumer data to refine strategies? I guess you kind of mentioned that earlier on, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, Good question. Let me, now that I mentioned about banking, now let's speak about this.
Mhm,
Previously, when a banking agent would go to meet a customer, he would go with basic information about what a particular instrument or maybe a few instruments can do versus the client. Now,
mhm,
what bankers are doing is that they have a lot of data that they have access to,
mhm,
something like your credit score and credit ranking and all that. They also know a little bit of information from the form you fill. Say, for instance, what kind of income, what kind of risks, what kind of investments you've already made.
mhm,
Now, feed this data to a pre-filled engine that is specifically made for the banker, and then go for a conversation to say, Angelica is so and so, is of the age so and so, with an income of so and so, with a credit score of so and so, with a risk pattern of so and so, and then recommend your investments,
mhm.
recommend how things can happen rather than going and giving it a shot. I'm not saying they were giving a shot in the dark, they were informed, but now
Mhm,
the level of customization that happens because
mhm,
of all this data becoming available is mind blowing.
mhm,
Second, the time of preparation. Now, today, if somebody who's not using the insights that generative AI can go, probably can have 4 or 5 conversations with new potential customers. But
Wow.
whereas this data, which is given to you just in time, you don't need preparation. While you are in transit between client to client. The just in time information arrives, and then you are ready to have a more and more meaningful conversation. Without telling them why you know this, you can actually go and strike a few chords that sync with your customer, and then your chances of success are a little more higher. And this has been a certain feedback that I received from a few bankers, and they are looking at how they can get it into the ecosystem.
Nice. Yeah, we have in our organization, we have low income families, so we want to serve them the best way that we can. So that might be something that's very helpful, right?
Right.
Looking for what their needs are, and also help them to get more involved in their children's education because they're so busy with work that sometimes they don't see the importance or they feel they don't have the time. So I think those are some ways that AI can help in finding a way to communicate that where we can reach their our parents' hearts. Also, when it comes to retaining teachers and having more teachers, recruiting more teachers to our organization. So I think that that would be helpful. Musab cracks me up. He says, "We need to talk." And he says, "Angelica, introduce us." Well, Musab, this is Chaitanya. Chaitanya, this is Musab Abdel. So there I did it.
Great.
So yeah,
I think I should certainly get connected with him.
definitely, definitely.
Yes.
I that's why I love this platform because there's so much that we can learn from each other and we can help each other, right?
True.
So,
And maybe 2 years back, when I used to do more of augmented reality as well, I used to probably say I know AR, VR, or AI very well.
mhm,
But today I have stopped doing that. I don't tell my clients that I'm a master. I say I am intelligent enough or knowledgeable enough to say I know AR, VR, and generative AI. Because
mhm,
every time you go and say, this is what I have done, the client will come back and say, somebody here managed to do this. And then
mhm.
that's one perspective you may not have thought of.
Mm, I see,
Right.
I see.
So all you can do now, or all I am doing now, is all right, this is what I know. Let's look at what you have as a
Mm,
challenge, what your challenge is, or let's
mhm,
understand what you have done already. And most of the times, it is these people that teach us. So the second thing that I have learned, Angelica, is that you and I are the old guys. We are the digital immigrants. We have walked into the digital world,
Yes.
and the younger generation have been born in the digital world. They are
Yes.
naturally more inclined and smart with these technologies.
Mm-hmm.
My son uses generative AI in a completely different way. So recently, he was asked to make some present. He got selected for one of the space programs of Indian Space Research Organization, and then they
Nice.
asked him to make a presentation. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking that he would do something on PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
He happily asked me to subscribe for ChatGPT 4,
Mm-hmm.
used the character creation, the unified or the consistent character creation feature of DALI, created an entire small booklet out of it.
Wow.
40 pages booklet with sun and a few characters, created the
Mhm.
dialogues, and then he presented it. So that's the point.
That is
So
awesome.
really awesome, and every time they beat the daylights out of you. You know, they give you those breathless moments, and then you will start counting them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love the creativity in that because that you make it more engaging. A presentation is more engaging when you have these different tools that you can use. And like you mentioned, the booklet that he made, right?
Right.
That's genius. That's genius. Yeah, I know the kids are something else. I'll type something and I'll be looking at how to do it. And by the time I look at how to do it, they're already done. And they're like this. Sparks are coming out of their fingers, right? But
Yeah.
but it's great to see that. Lisa Fevick says, very interesting chat, Angelica. Thank you for this. You're welcome, my dear. We got to thank
Thank you.
Chaitanya
Oh,
in the
thank you, Lisa.
LinkedIn. Yes. And LinkedIn
Uh,
user says, amazing. Dr. Kimberly Adams says, practice, practice, practice leads to more effective chain prompting.
Yeah,
So,
I cannot agree less. So there are days sometimes when I take a certain assignment or when I work with on a potential client, there are times when the whole day goes in prompting and I'm not convinced with what comes out of it. So it's not just ChatGPT. I use Claude, I use Bard, I use hundreds of tools.
mhm,
Uh, some days your prompts don't work. They just don't work. They don't give you the output that you want. Most of
mhm,
the time, you will realize that this is all airy fairy stuff. It doesn't work. So
mhm.
put it to rest for a couple of days, then come back with a fresh perspective. Let your brain work on it, and probably somebody somewhere in the world, in the universe, has entered some prompts that will give the intelligence that these things need, and then suddenly it starts working. So there's no end to understanding prompting. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. But it's interesting how we can make things easier for ourselves with this prompting.
True.
So how
So
does it, oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, please.
No, 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 go ahead. That's okay.
So
I'm
I
just
was looking at Dr. Kimberly Adams' post. So I create my graphics for using ChatGPT 4. Yes. So DALI is the one that creates those images behind. So I've been doing that for quite some time. I do my research. I have a small notebook of all the things that I think I can use for social media. I write my post, then I go to. I'm a fan of Midjourney, so I haven't explored ChatGPT for too much yet, as in terms of image generation. But the kind of if you need anything to do with text in the image, ChatGPT 4 or DALI is the best. But anything else, I believe Midjourney. I'm a fan of Midjourney, so I use Midjourney to create my images for the post, and then I use them.
okay, great. Now Midjourney, I know that some people use Discord when they're using Midjourney. So that's another thing that people would need to learn, right? Or
So Midjourney, I'm not sure completely yet. Midjourney is the engine from where you generate your images.
okay.
They were speaking of a direct web generation, but I'm not sure. I haven't played around with it yet, but I don't think it is there. I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, I see Bektar says informative. So wow, these should all be on on your recommendations.
Thank you. A lot
Yes.
of good people, and they're encouraging me. Yes, thank you.
Yes, definitely. Yes, I encourage you all to please put a recommendation for Chaitanya because he's sharing all this wonderful information with us.
Thank
So
you.
how does AI contribute to a customer's loyalty and trust in a brand? I,
Very interesting. Now, if you are an established brand,
Mhm.
so you know exactly what your brand values are. You know what your brand factors are. What is contributing to your brand? Now, when you put these things, when you feed generative AI about all these things, and then asks for how you can engage with your customer.
Mhm.
Every time I did something like this, generative AI gave me at least 3 to 4 dimensions, new dimensions that I have not thought of.
Nice.
Now, once you know what you do not know, this has been our problem, right? We do not know what we do not know. We most of the time we used to think, no, no, I spent 20 years, I'm good enough. But today, a kid who is good with prompt engineering can come back and challenge me, Chaitanya, you know nothing about my brand. And I'll be forced to accept it because he has evidence, right? So, um, once you have what these insights that come to you, then you tweak your branding quickly, you tweak your messages quickly, you tweak your interactions quickly. So
Yeah.
today, look at these generations, they are amazing. um, we are becoming the digital nomads. The
Yes.
young generation does not want to own anything, but they want to experience everything. Now, in India, I'm still not very sure of what happens in the West. In India, there is a new generation of people who do not want to buy a home. They want to rent it out or they want to live in co-living spaces. So they, in every 6 months, they can go to a new facility, enjoy the facilities, the newest blocks, the newest facilities, the newest crowd, and then get that experience, sync that experience, and move on.
Hmm.
Right?
Interesting.
Can we give those brand experiences? Can we give an experience that right now sounds moonlight, but in 6 months may be the reality of the world?
I think it needs to be changed because when I see advertisements, right?
Right.
You don't see the same commercials because they're still selling the brand, right?
Yeah.
Like you see McDonald's, but they're always out there with commercials, but they change it so that um you got to keep it like you said fresh, right?
Right. Keep it fresh.
So,
Yes.
yes.
So imagine this, all right? So when you go today, when you go meet somebody new,
Mhm.
you exchange business cards.
Mhm.
And most likely, 99.9% of the time, the business card goes into the trash, even before they record your name and phone number. Can you do something different? Can you have maybe a small QR code on your bag or maybe on your t-shirt edged where somebody can scan and the information goes into the phone directly?
Yes.
That's one way of looking at it. The second way, even before my your data comes into my phone, do I have to fill my name and phone number before I access your phone number? So even before you see my phone number, I have access to your phone number.
Mhm.
Now, why am I speaking about this? Today, most of the times, if you realize, we live in an autopilot mode.
Mhm.
We really do not care about our interactions. We do not really pay attention to what is happening. So this is a way of breaking that autopilot mode, giving them a new experience. So the next time I meet somebody sees, I see Angelica. Oh,
Mhm.
this is the lady who made me scan a QR code on her back. So is it not a brand value? And then because Angelica told me what to do, what happens next stays fresh in my mind.
Mhm.
So it's a customer experience, right?
Yes.
So how do you make these customer experiences happen? Like, So, for instance, there's one small joint here. What we do is,
Mhm,
after the food is packed, there is a sticker that closes the package. On that is a QR code, and when you scan,
mhm,
you get tomorrow's menu. If you order food from that QR code, you get a 15% discount.
mhm.
It's a new interaction. So,
That is awesome. Well, you know what you mentioned about the scanning.
right.
I want to mention a little bit about that, but before I do, I think Dr. Kimberly Adams earlier said that Midjourney is for the real computer geeks.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's one other question from Dr. Kimberly. What's your guidance for people who are beginning to learn how to use generative
Yes.
AI? There's no way. The best way to learn is get your hands dirty, get into these domains and start prompting. But
Yes.
for the more structured people, there are a lot of free courses that are offered by Google, IBM,
Hmm.
Coursera, edX, where these are all platforms you register. There are quite a few courses on generative AI and normal AI. So go through them, add to your certification. And the best part of all these is that the way I see generative AI versus how Dr. Kimberly Adams sees versus how um, Angelica sees are different. So whatever you learn, put it into your perspective, into your domain, and make that a post. So people of your type, people of your audience, of your from your audience will learn what you're trying to do. And once you teach, you're a master, right? So
Yes.
as long as you don't try, you probably are not sure of what you have learned. But once you have tried, when you have put something on as a post, then you have learned it much, much better.
I agree with that. When you teach, it stays it stays with you. You remember it more, right?
Right,
And
right.
I'm excited about us doing this as a series, right, Chaitanya?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I am. Thank you.
We're really excited about this. And I see, how does AI generate customers for business owners is a question. Dr. Kimberly said, "What is your guest name?" It's Chaitanya Bailey.
Yeah,
The
there's a
series,
text box that is hovering on the screen, so because of which I think they cannot see our names, maybe.
yeah, I think that's why.
Yeah.
Um, Great conversation and information. Thank you, Dr. Kimberly.
Thank you so
Awesome,
much.
awesome.
That was very nice of you.
Yes, that's very sweet. I love the engagement that we're having today. I knew that this would be a really interesting subject. I love it. I love this subject.
Thank
So,
you.
you're welcome. What emerging AI technologies do you foresee impacting brand management in the future? Oh, what you mentioned about scanning the QR code?
Yeah.
I
So
love
that's
I love that idea because I had on my back one time because we were trying to promote a website that we have for family wellness. So what I did was I made a copy of the scan code, the QR code, and I put it on the back of my coat. And so it's simple for people to just scan it from there, and people are they become curious and interested when they see something like that, and they're like, what is that all about, right? So you were going to say something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to mention that because you mentioned that earlier.
right. All right. So I'll speak about the QR codes, maybe a couple of other applications, and then we'll go a little further. So imagine this: you are at a birthday party. There's a certain cake, and then you want to give a message. What I can probably help you do is help you print a QR code on the cake as the icing of the cake. And in the QR code, all the guests that have attended the birthday party can give their birthday wishes as a picture or maybe as a video. I can stitch all of them together, create a small booklet, and then when the birthday boy or girl scans the QR code, you get all the messages as a booklet. Now, once the cake is cut, the message disappears. But To make sure that the message is still there, inside the cake, we put in something like a medallion or something, and then you can discover it, make it a memory, and then keep it as your souvenir. One example. So that the second question before we got into this was that what kind of emerging technologies, right? So the answer is I do not know. There are so many things coming up. There are so many versions of AI coming up. But what generally, if you actually try to bucket them into a few areas, one is image generation. Image generation is going to grow to the next level. With each new version of what Midjourney gave, the kind of outputs it's generating is mind blowing. And what percentage of Midjourney I would have explored? Maybe less than 1%.
Mhm.
Then the second one is text. Now, um, you might prompt in Spanish, but your outputs can be in English. And right now, when you do the translation bit, there is a certain amount of information that gets lost in translation. But I'm
Mhm.
sure the AI behind is working on reducing the coefficient of loss, information loss, when you translate content from one language to the other. The
Mhm.
third one, translation with voice. So if I have, so one of the cases that I am using very extensively is when I meet my clients, I
Mm.
use Zoom with the AI feature. So what I do right after the meeting is that I get let Zoom to transcribe it.
Okay.
And once I transcribe it, I put the entire transcribed text into ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to give me a proposal for the particular project. Most of the
Love
times
it.
in client conversations earlier, there would be one or two people whose perspective I would have lost, or generally it's easy. And the best part is these people who speak very little are the ones who are giving you the maximum cues,
Mhm.
because they are stuck with one piece of information that becomes extremely critical for the project.
Mhm.
Now, what the AI does is gives me that Angelica spoke about this, so your response in your proposal should be this. Dr. Roxanne or Dr. Kimberly gave me this particular sentence, so to address her concern, why don't you add this?
Mhm.
Now, my proposals are even more comprehensive.
Mhm.
Now, if I try to translate this, or somebody say we spoke in English now, if I
Yes.
translate this to Spanish in maybe using any engine, it looks very transliteral translation. It's not the original translation. So
Mhm.
this translation is going to get better and better.
Mhm.
Videos are going to get better and better, and IBM is working on a lot of enterprise level AI.
Mhm.
That's going to be a game changer.
Wow.
So all these buckets are going to be really, really huge. And with all these, and with augmented reality coming in, quantum computing coming in, I really don't know what the permutations will be and where we are really heading. Interesting times to live in.
Really, it's interesting. I see that things are easier. It's making things easier, making things a lot more fun, um, and a lot of opportunity for, I think, small businesses, right? Because
Right.
small businesses need a lot of help, and we have a lot of small businesses here on LinkedIn. So, how can small businesses effectively utilize AI to strengthen their brand presence?
Awesome. Now, there's an African saying, every time a person passes away, you lose a library. And I
Mhm.
strongly believe it. Every person from the time they are born until what they are, it's a library. They have a lot of intel, lot of wisdom, lot
Mhm.
of real world knowledge captured inside their head.
Yes.
Now, now this is about monetizing that information. A small business, say for instance, you are a baking store, all
Mhm.
right, and you want to make some money. Now, can you write a book on baking and put it up on Amazon for sale? Now, if you can, then you are making money.
Mhm.
Next, baking has a few thousand versions. How do you
Yes.
bake a cake using millets?
Mm-hmm.
How do you bake a cake that is gluten free? How
Mm-hmm.
do you make a cake without egg? How do you make a cake without yeast? How do you make a cake that is good enough for vegans? Now,
There you go.
the world is diverse. Now, you're a master of baking cakes. All you have to do is gain that mastery, probably learn a few 50 to 70 recipes,
Mm-hmm.
make a cake, make a video, or write a book, put them up on Amazon for sale, or
Mm-hmm.
put it on Gumroad for sale. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the cost of the booklet could be maybe $5, but all you have to do is for the next 5 years try to sell 1 million copies. And if you are regular with your social media postings, if you are
Mm-hmm.
regular with what you do as your branding,
Mm-hmm.
5 million is just a million is just a very small number. And $5 is something that people would not bat an eyelid to buy a book for.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's how some of these big apps have done. So if you look at some of these success stories in Corona, there
Mm-hmm.
was one app, I remember if it's wrong, the Movement Monk. It was about an Irish guy who happened to be in Hong Kong just before Corona,
Mm-hmm.
and he learned some amount of Tai Chi, I guess. And then he
Mm-hmm.
made it an app, and he said, "Keep your body moving." That was his message. And then he made an app and he sold it for three price points. And then he was a huge success. I think he sold 1 million copies of it or something. And then imagine,
Wow.
even if it was $10, now look at the money he's made, right?
Yes.
Small money, big numbers, but bring your story, bring your expertise in it.
Yes.
And say, Angelica, you're a podcaster today, right? So if you write a book on podcasting and bringing the world together, if it's a title, you create some
Yes.
book, use ChatGPT to build the book, write your stories, edit it, put it on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, and every day after your post, if you want to start with podcasting, this is my experience. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to podcast with a Japanese guy, this is my experience. And then point to the book.
Yes.
Then when people buy it, then you're making a lot of money
Yes.
and your cash register is ringing. So if you create your system well, ChatGPT can help you create that system and you can make your money.
That's excellent. And I have some books in mind already because working with children in the past, I've worked with children and parents. So those are one of them that I want to cover. Another, I have a lot of different ideas. We're going to have to talk about these. I'm
Sure,
so
sure.
excited. I'm so excited about this. I love it. So
Great.
in your experience, what are the key benefits of incorporating AI into brand building efforts?
Great. So it reduces time, it reduces your effort, and then it gives you deeper insights. For example, um, whenever I had a new high playing client, I had to go to an agency who did the lot of market research,
Mm-hmm.
pay them a bomb, and ask them to give me the information I need. For instance, who are my customers? Who are my ideal customers? What
Mm-hmm.
are their pain points? What are their frustrations? What are their aspirations? What are the mistakes they make in identifying their service providers? And where do they lurk?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? Where are they spending their time? And the agency would take a good 20, 25 days, give me something, and sometimes it would be useless.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now I use prompting. I go to YouTube. Say, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, I need to speak about a shoe company. I go to YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
identify a video that has done more than 1 million or 2 million views,
Mm-hmm.
use the transcribe youtube.com site to get a transcription of the video, feed that to ChatGPT, and then say, using this particular business model, tell me how a shoe should work. And it gives me a certain output. And based on that, ask questions. Who will be the target audience? What would they want to see? What is the style they anticipate? All that questions, it gives you amazing insights. And how long does it take? In 2 hours, I have my media report, and it is as good as a McKinsey report.
Wow, it's
So
amazing. It's amazing what's available to us. Um, well, this conversation is so interesting. The time has gone by so fast. So um,
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the conversation, and we're going to be having another one next week, same time, my friend.
Sure.
Is it good with you? And
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
what is it? What is the title that you'd like to have for next week, my friend? What do you?
Um,
What would you want to?
create, yeah, creating dynamic books with generative AI.
Oh wow, that is going to be a good one. That is going to be really good. That's exciting. So,
So
go ahead. What were you going to say?
the real estate will be the same, but how do you produce content that keeps varying every time you open your book?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I remember what you showed me. That is gonna be you guys are in for a treat. Okay, this isn't a regular book, okay? This
Yeah.
is we're not gonna say anything because we gotta surprise you for next week.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So, I love the what you mentioned about using the scan for the cake, and I think the QR code can be used for so many other things, right? People have their weddings. You want to talk a little bit about how they use the QR code for a wedding? I thought that was really interesting.
Sure. So in India, what happens is the weddings are becoming even more expensive. A lot more people walking into these weddings. So, as the host, you may not really have the time to go and greet your guests. So, what do they do today? So, the day they arrive at your home to give you an invitation, which is essential by culture, you have to go to the guest's home and give them a card to invite them. Along with the card, they give you a return gift. And on the gift, we etch a QR code. And on that, there are dates and numbers there. Say today, the wedding is on, say, 17th of February. The ritual start from maybe 2 second or whatever. So on second, scan the code to see the photos and videos of this ritual. So the event would have happened on in the morning, and by evening you have some photos and videos. Then on fifth there is certain this is the ritual, so see these things. And the other thing that recently happened was in India it's not like in the West you don't see each other and get married. Most of the marriages are still arranged, so two families get together, they think that the bride and the groom are good for each other, and then they say they will get married. So
Hmm.
at this point, the boy and the girl will know nothing about what each other is. So we give them a QR code, and then both the bride and the girl can exchange some information. So
That
this is
is
what I do.
that is
So
cool. I love that idea. That's really
so
interesting.
yes. So from the bride picked up a few pictures or videos from her childhood, stitched that into a bigger video, and sent it to the groom. And when he scans it, he gets it. Just a novelty, but this is what it is. And on the gift, the return that gift that is given, and after the wedding is over, 2 days or 3 days later, the entire album appears, and then that stays with you.
That's
So
awesome.
if you have gone and witnessed somebody's wedding, and after a few days, we make sure that your picture also is in it.
I
So
could
one is that you have all the album, and your pictures of the wedding are also there. So it becomes a memory.
I love this memory thing. And I could already see how we could use it in our organization because we have events, right? And we have families that everybody has a cell phone, right?
True.
So sometimes they can't they're busy doing things and they're not capturing everything, right?
Right.
So this is a good way for them to be captured, and also later on we have a QR code as they're leaving they can use, and then see the whole event. So that's so many things could be done with that. I love it. I
Cool.
think we answer how does AI generate customers for business owners? You talked a little bit about that, but did you want to
Yeah.
say anything more? Thank you. I think
Um,
that's Roxanne that asked that question.
yes. So, Roxanne, sorry for the delay. We missed the question, but I'll still answer it. So, as I said, once you start identifying your ideal customer, you will start feeding them with what they need first. Now, a good customer service and meeting their aspirations, frustrations, and helping them meet their motivations is a good enough way to get more and more customers in.
Mhm.
The second one, what this does is when you start, as I said, we are speaking of experiences today. We are not just a product, it's not just a brand, it's also the experience. The more and more experience you give, your chance of interacting with the customer increases.
Mhm.
And if your radars are smart, if your ears are to the ground, you will actually hear what a customer wants. I'm
Mhm.
not saying you should give everything that the customer wants, but something that takes minimal effort to give an additional service. That is
Yes.
what generative AI makes it possible. If you have to spend 1 more hour, like for instance, recently, if you have noticed, somebody told Starbucks that if they could reduce their coffee production time by maybe 3 minutes or 1 minute, they would have an additional $450 million revenue. So what they're
Wow.
doing is they're changing the way their coffees are arranged on the kitchen sink or on the kitchen counter, the counter they have. So it's a small change, but it's going to increase their revenue by 900 million. And Starbucks is investing 450 million. And that 900 million it will happen every year. So something like that. So if you make one small change, and you are getting a complete new brand or tribe of people to add your customers, you should do it. And generative AI will keep you, help you do that because it will give you insights from other parts of the world that we do not know. So, yeah, so again, as I said, keep your antennas open, keep your curiosity open, and only when you're curious, you will be sensitive, or you will be sensitive enough to notice that requirement, and then generative AI will help you with the execution.
I really love that. Um, I think all of us can do things better, and some maybe we're just missing something. And it's good that generative AI could see what we're missing and bring it to our attention so that we could be more effective and maybe even make more money. Right. I see Lisa. She says, such valuable info. Love the QR code ideas. Looking forward to continued conversations between Angelica Corral and Chaitanya Bailey. Well, we're looking forward to you coming back. So thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you.
Chaitanya, I really, really enjoyed this podcast today. Our conversation, the information was just so valuable. And I think that there's so much more to cover. And I'm looking forward to next week's conversation. So it's already 5:59 and I didn't even realize it because it was such a great information. A LinkedIn user
Thank
says such an interactive live event. Thanks to both of you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
we're
thanks for making this conversation so lively. Thanks everybody for adding your comments, your perspectives. And as I said, I'm on the way for becoming a master, but that road is always under construction, and there'll be mistakes that we make. There'll be a lot that I will learn from you, and I look forward for a lot of learning as I kind of expose what I have learned. That's how I see these interactions as. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate your kindness, your generosity in sharing and your humility because even though you have this knowledge, you're not puffed up with pride.
Thank you.
So we're going to continue this conversation next week. Looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you all who came. Thank you, Chaitanya. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
and
it.
thanks so much for hosting me and helping me share what I've learned. Thank you.
Yes, it's wonderful. We're the dynamic duo.
I like it.
So we're gonna close the room, and we hope to see you soon. We love you all, and wish you take care, and can't wait to hear what you have to share with us next week, and what everybody has to share as well. So have a great
Thank,
week. Mhm.
thank you, and have a great week ahead, all of you.
Yes. Bye, everybody.